What should we make? How about padded war belt? I'm pretty sure we've done this on video. Guys discussed the padded war belt quite a bit. I built one a couple years ago. There's maybe a dozen of them running around. We've sold maybe 10 of them. We built the rifle kit and put all the pieces together exactly how we wanted it. And we put them on these. And then we built them all piece by piece. We never sold the rifle kit as a whole complete unit. It was kind of, you got to catch them as they come available. We'll do 48 one quarts, 48 Rallyman with pistol, 48 without, you get it. Butt pack, and the pieces, you know, the other stuff guys put on there. But the belt, my thought all along was they can put that on any belt. It can be on our 2-inch duty belt, it can be on a US Marine Corps padded belt, it can be on anything you want it on. And guys started putting them together and complaining about the belt. And I said, well, there can't be much difference between our belt and, you know, anything that's available on the market. And I started looking around, and I don't know why, but there is a vast difference. And I don't know why somebody hasn't just made this belt the way we build it. So we opened them up for 32, I think, and 34 inch, maybe just 32 inch. For a couple days, took orders, and then we cut a dozen of them and gave them to production. I showed them how I sew them, showed them how to do it. And every single time we get them, they come out cockeyed. And I'm not sure where the disconnect was. So we just said, okay, stop. We're just not gonna produce these. We're too busy with everything else. But I keep coming back to this. And we would get them and they'd be twisted. Like there'd literally be a physical twist in the product like this. Or they would be shifted. And the way I build this is I find center and I come over and do this pals. And then I find center and I come over and do this pals. And then I come over and do this one. And then I keep going back and forth. What I don't do is sew all of these this way and then sew all of these this way. What I also don't do is sew these this way and then turn them to do this one. I keep them on the machine. And I understand why people don't want to do it, because while I'm sewing here, I'm reducing the amount of material between where the machine comes up and where the needle drives down. But on the other drive, you have to manage this bulk. And I think that's where the problem is. So I'm just gonna build this right now because we're going to start pushing them into production, I guess. I built one last night. I've also had issues with sizing. Like I have no problem building a belt that fits me because I can test it on me. When I build, and I'm a 32, when I go to a 34, the belt should be 2 inches larger. At 38, it should be 6 inches larger. So I have built some belts that were 38 and 34, and they just didn't come out. And I think what's happening is as I'm driving through the foam, it's shrinking the product up. These are conversations that you'll never hear from any company. And that's usually why also, when you look at belts from other companies, you never go in and buy a 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 36, you like that, right? You have small, medium, and large. And from day one, 35 years ago, even longer than that, guys would go, I don't know whether to get a small or a medium belt, because when I get a small belt, there's not quite enough, it doesn't touch in the middle, or I don't have as much real estate. But when I go to a medium, it's not tight enough. You're kind of in between the two. But from a stocking standpoint and distribution standpoint for a company, to only have 4 sizes, that's way easier, because just in part numbers on our EDC belt, we have 14,000 belts. When you add in all the sizes, the color bases, and the webbing combo colors, and the thread contrast colors, that's just one belt. We make 5, 6 different belts. And we have 14,000 part numbers just in EDC belts. So I understand the problem. I understand why they do small, medium, and large, but I want more real estate, right? If I'm going from a 32, if I go from a 32-inch belt to a 34-inch belt, that's only 2 inches difference. I can't do more real estate because it would throw the pals off. I could add one in the back, but nothing we make spaces off that center. They all space evenly off center. So when you go to a 38 or 36, then you get 2 more columns of pals. 2 more columns of pals, that's nothing. Well, 2 more columns of pals, that's a rally, man. That's 3 more M4 mags. It's another, it's 90 rounds or 120s. So it is, it all matters, especially with this stuff. So I've said all that. You don't need to know any of it unless you're trying to build this stuff. So I'm gonna just build this and show you how this goes. I'm gonna do a, I don't know, I'm gonna do a 34. Somebody's gonna be lucky. They're gonna be able to buy a 34 black OD. Let's do these squares right here. Get you a square if you're building any of this shit. A lot of guys making gear have no idea how to build gear. And in that, I mean, you see guys in groups and forums all the time, where can I buy a pattern set for whatever? Well, the real answer is just cut something you have apart and make the pattern from it. But they have no idea how to do it because they just haven't had to ever do it. And that's why I say, get you a square. Now, when you go to Lowe's and you buy this, you'll find one that looks just like this. You don't want that one. It's aluminum, it's super light. You want the weight of the metal one. Plus, if you're ready to kill zombies with it, this would probably be better. This one is made by Mavs. These fucking mongoloids use all this shit and ruin all these tools. What does that say? Mavs? Maves?
Yeah, M-A-V-E-S.
That's the one you want. Find that one. The heavy, you want a heavy one. Put it in your hand. We used to get these at Walmart. I'm pretty sure Walmart has Stanley now. Super light. This is a Swanson ruler. This is all I use. Like these guys will tell you, we came in to film this video 90 minutes ago. I have spent the last 90 minutes locating these tools. Literally this specific ruler. I like this because when you're measuring things and you need to go into halves or quarters, and a lot of times it doesn't fall exactly perfect on inches, it will always go into centimeters or vice versa. If it doesn't fit at one, it'll almost always divide into the other. So this, and be aware, some asshole thought it'd be fucking a great idea to make this ruler in a 40 inch. I don't fucking know why. Stay with the 36. Now we have these in the building at 40 inch. We have them at 6 foot. I think we even have an 8 foot one. Yeah, so be advised. And if you're working like out of a small bedroom or one of these like farm sheds or something, a lot of times the head height is low in these things. Also, I always thought it'd be cool to have those built because we have a bunch of those buildings, right? Tiny houses. I always thought it'd be cool to have the lofted ones. When you have the lofted ones, your sidewalls are not 8 feet. They're like 6.5 feet. Be aware of that too. So I'm going to cut this right here. 7 1/4 is my distance. This ruler is all ratted out. I just need a little bit of distance here, and I'm going to come in. This ruler is not even long enough to do this. I'll get 30 there. And I need another 10. The minute I make patterns for this, I will never remember this in my head again. If anything ever happened, I would have to completely reverse engineer it. Right now, I know what these measurements are. But the second we make patterns for these, I will never remember it again. Which is weird. Like, I don't memorize new things, but old things. Like the Rallyman vest. I can give you the entire cut list out of it. The 3-inch webbing is... The 1-inch buckles are 3-inch, the long ones are 12, the side pieces are 8 for the camelback, the belt loops are all 12 inches, the Fastex buckle pieces to sew on all the mag pouches are 3 inches. The adjustable tabs on the pistol mag sides are 6.5. The long ones for the rifles are 8 inches. The hook is 1 inch by 1 inch, and then on the rifles it's 1 inch. That's 1.5 inches. Like, I know all that shit, but I don't know some shit that I've done every day this year. Like, it's just, I don't know why. When we hire guys, the biggest thing is guys just can't fucking use a ruler or do basic math. We see that more and more now. When you're like, okay, double this or find center, find quarter, they just, like, their heads just fucking, they have no idea. Smaller than a, well, why would you? Yeah, we tell guys all the time, can you read a ruler? And they look at you like you're crazy until you realize they can't read a ruler. Yeah. And I'm terrible about that. When you look through our cut lists and shit, I've got 7 1/4 or 7.25, and I always fight with myself. I'm like, how am I going to write this out? Yeah. Just like writing 1 inch soft or 1 inch hard instead of 1 inch loop or 1 inch hook, because back in the day, none of those girls knew what hook or loop was, so it was easier to just go the soft Velcro or the hard Velcro. Scissors, you want to have a nice, light, small pair of scissors that's very sharp. This is not very sharp, and I just took these out of a package yesterday. But the small ones are for cutting and maneuverability. The long ones, you want a long one for doing long run, and it's easier to stay straight. And it's literally like looking down the side of a barrel, like looking down a barrel on the long ones. These are Walmart, and they are Westcott non-stick. I've used these for 20 years. In the last 5 years, even though the part is the same, the number, everything, these are not the same scissor. The metal's not as good, the coating's not as good, and they've added this stupid fucking piece of rubber in here in my fingers. I literally can't drop this pair of scissors without pulling it off my hands. These are amazing. What are these, 11 inches? Is that what these ones are? This is a 10. And they used to have a 13. And amazingly, to my dismay, when you order a pair of 11-inch scissors, it's a 5-inch blade. We've even ordered a bunch where they have sent us this. We have paid for 11s. We have ordered 11s, and we get them with a 3-inch blade. It's the craziest shit. Like, so, but these for running long lines and cutting straight. Now, a lot of this stuff, you're never going to see the edge. So if you're not the best at cutting straight and precision, if you don't have a calibrated eye, then you're gonna conceal a lot of that, right? You're not gonna see it anyways. I have made nothing, I have taught nothing, and the video is already 30 minutes long. Yeah, we'll make some kind of hangers to put out here on the wall. I know, I saw Bear did a video yesterday. Yeah, I asked him, I'm like, bro, where did those come from? And he goes, I don't know, but I'll find out. And he's forgotten to find out. We have a welder, why can't we just weld something up small? We can go buy a welder. All right, that's going to be, where did I cut this at? It's not going to be a 36. No, the multicam one's a 40. Got it, okay. So we're doing a 34-inch belt. Let's write it right here, so I'll remember. And as soon as we sew it, you'll never see it, and we won't know what it is. 34. One of you guys remember that this is, a 34. All right, Cordura, whatever color you want it to be. Well, however you want it to taste. Man down. Foam. This will always be different flavors, usually CS gas, diesel. I would literally throw this away. This thing's wrecked on the other side. I have probably 100 of these that are worn out. I save them. I don't know what I save them for. We've never found a use for them. But when the society collapses, I'm gonna be the guy selling these with no measurements on them. While you're using Sharpie on foam, it doesn't dry. So when you rub your hand back across it, it gets all over you. So when you get in your wife's Mercedes with the white leather interior, you might want to be cognizant of that. Also, if you're wearing blue jeans and you've been in the rain and you get in your Range Rover with the white interior, it stains your white interior. Imagine your dismay when it's now, they were True Religion jeans. That's exactly what it was. It was the dye come. Oh, you're absolutely right. I was actually about to address that. So I just cut these with a razor blade. You can use the pizza cutter thing. Sailrite. Is it Sailrite that makes the small sewing machine? Sailrite. They make a hot knife. It's got a flat blade on it. It's pretty cool. Cuts. It was never fast enough for me, but if you're learning from scratch, it's probably beneficial. I just buy these razor blades. They come in a pack of 100. You can get drywall razor blades. You can get utility blades, whatever. Pretty good. I feel like these don't stay sharp anymore. I really feel like I use these tonight, and when I go to use them tomorrow, they're dull. I think the air oxidizes them. When you cut through here, be cognizant. When you come through here, if you hit your table, this will destroy your table. We have those birch plywood 4x8 tops on our cutting tables inside. Very nice. And then as soon as you put an employee there and let him work there for a couple weeks, he has literally destroyed the tabletop by cutting through it because he won't use the cutting mat underneath it. Kind of like what I'm doing right here. I'm not cutting all the way down. When you cut a good halfway or so down, you can literally just rip this like that, and you can see how far I actually cut. There's a little boogers across the side there, a little scab, whatever. Foam is very interesting when you start looking at foam. It's one of the more expensive things that you will buy. It will also make your product way better or way shittier. There's all kinds of cross-link foam, ethafoam, you name it. You want a closed cell foam. When you start looking at foam, you have density and return rate and such. How many pounds does it take to move it 1 inch? What the return is, what the memory is. There's so much that goes into foam. Yeah, and even when you deal with springs, when you deal with bungees, we use a very specific bungee in our rifle slings, and it has how many pounds it takes to actually move it per inch, and how many pounds you can hold on it without it returning. There's a lot to those things. When you're starting out, be cognizant of those things, but also don't let it hinder you because you can't afford the expensive foam. Like, start building your shit, get your craft, learn the tools, learn the machine, and keep trash cans. Have trash cans fucking everywhere. You can buy we get them at Walmart. I've got these taller ones, which I really like. They make one that has a handle here that's really nice. I'm actually gonna cut handles here to grab them. But just have trash cans everywhere. Like, we probably have 100 of these on the property, and I buy them all the time, and we never know where they are, ever. So just, get you a bunch of stuff when you find the thing you like. And inevitably, when you find the one that's perfect, they'll stop making it. So how nice would it be to have a bunch of that thing you're going to use in the future? Yeah. All right. I think we can at least start sewing this right now. It's super difficult working with Brandel because I keep all of my stuff so clean and meticulous, and then Brandel comes in and runs 100 extension cords all over each other and you trip over them. All right, I'm gonna hem this right here. Yeah, I'm running a lot of tension on this. Why do I have so much tension here? And then while that's connected, I'm gonna run this other end right here and do the exact same thing. Huh? Tension? Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what. I actually looked to see if maybe I had it looped around something, if something got caught when we moved this. Anyways, there's those. The edges are hemmed. We're going to sew this right here in half. And I'm going to run it just about a 1/4 inch in, probably. Maybe even a little less than a 1/4 inch. Yeah, I do. Do I need them or do I leave them? I do, for now. Here's why. Get you one of these. We have no idea where this one came from.
Get you one, but I don't know what it is.
I really think this comes off of the bottom of a couch or something. Or John Deere tractor, maybe. I don't know where it came from.
Get one, make one.
What is this? It's not 1/4, right? It's probably a little bigger than 1/4. Make you one of these. The finished product is 28. I think it was probably 30 when it started life. Get you one of these. You're gonna be glad that you had it. Be cognizant that when this pops out of here, it will knock you in the nose, the eyeball, or knock your tooth out. So, deliberate motions. Now your sleeve is right side out. I mean, you could probably buy some super expensive weird machine that would sew this on the inside, but I know you'll be amazed to hear this, but all those weird things you did working on those cars when you were a kid, they make a tool that does all that shit, so you don't have to do that the hard way. It's just nobody told you what the tool was.
Well, at that point in life, you probably couldn't.
Okay, so here goes this. And I just pinch this. It's gonna get about halfway in typically, depending on the Cordura and how ratty your foam is. Because you're using surplus foam a lot of times. And then the coating on the Cordura starts grabbing with the tackiness of the foam. So you're gonna find little tricks to get that in there. And my trick is just keep pinching this and just jam it like that. You gotta move your head like that when you do it. I did at one point talk to Collier Sewing, and he found some dude that made a machine that would literally had a ram piston that you hold this, you peel it back, you put it on there, and it shoves the foam in. We saw a little dude, a video from a barefooted dude in India, and they had this machine. I'm like, where do we get this? And he sourced it. He's like 2,500 bucks. We'll order it right now. We'll have it here in 6 weeks. And my guy Jake figured out how to do it without the $2,500 machine. But that's the answer right there. I do have a pair coming from this end when it does get in there, because like when you're using some of the multicam materials and stuff, it does kind of grab. So you can make it, and that's why our belt is so much different than the others, because there is no dead space. There is no dirty diaper, sagging diaper here. It is tight. And because it's tight, a lot of times it is difficult to feed in. When you look at our shoulder straps, when you look at our padded rifle slings, when you look at anything with foam in it, it's super tight. So we have some surgical clamps. I don't know what they're originally surgical clamps, but we have some that are scaled up that have like a duck bill on them. And when they're closed, you can run a suture through there or whatever. So I think it's for like clamping veins and shit. But we can reach way in there, grab that, and slide it out. You just come up with your tool, whatever the tool is to do the job. It doesn't matter what it was intended for. Now, my foam also, now that I have pushed this in here, the foam is a little shorter. Now I can hold it here, and because it's foam, you can stretch it way out. I can add several inches into it. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually going to, before I even close this, I'm gonna tack and I'm gonna sew. I'm gonna put the foam where I want it and sew it in place. And I'm gonna pull this piece over here and stretch it into place. And I'm gonna tack it and sew it there also. Then we're going to start putting the pals on from the center over right, center over left, 2 over right, 2 over left, 3 over. And we're gonna do both top and bottom pals at the same direction, pushing out, which means that foam is always moving outward, not inward. And that's why that belt is going to be so tight and so stiff. That's the difference in them. You can find a lot of belts that look like those. You don't find any belts that are like those though, and I suspect that that's why. It's just for ease of manufacture. This is the webbing we're gonna use for pals. On our camo ones, they're camo matched. I don't know what my shrinkage is, so I'm just going to cut these a little long right here. I'm going to cut a second piece right here so that when I sit down, I don't have to stand back up here and do this again for a while. So there's that. I somehow do not still have a torch out here, even though I think I've brought one out here. We'll do it on a, we'll do this over a camp stove. Yeah, I don't want to do a jet boil. I'd have to touch it to the pot or something. Now I got it right here.
There's a torch somewhere.
We'll go back to 1965, how we used to do it. So build a bow drill, find a caveman traveling across the world carrying an ember in his sphagnum moss. Ooh, I've already messed this up. I've done a few of them this way. All right, start over. No, I'm gonna cut it apart. I don't even have anything tacked in here yet. Last week's video, you saw the seam ripper, and from watching me use that seam ripper, you can probably deduce that I'm not going to ever use a seam ripper again. So just gonna pop this inside out again, and I'm gonna show you a faster way to unstitch. Check this out. It was a freak eyeball stabbing accident. I'm pulling opposite directions with my finger. I'm keeping tension in both directions, which keeps the material taut and keeps me from slicing the material. And then I just slice the stitch. There's that one's uncoupled. The whole time we were putting down these mats back here, These are the extra ones I had from the gym with the cross hatches in them. I really didn't think I was gonna like it, but I actually do like it having, because the wheels stop there and they don't roll, and you have to make a deliberate effort to get them to move anymore. So it's pretty good. If you guys ever buy stall mats for a gym or for flooring in your garage or workshop or something, Tractor Supply has like 20 different versions of them. While they look the same, if you don't know, just be cognizant that if you already have purchased some, make sure they are the same, because while they all say 4x6, for some reason some of them are a ½ inch or even an inch shorter. Make sure you get the exact same finish. Like they've got these hatch marks, they've got a pebble finish, they've got a smooth finish, so be aware. There's 25 on a pallet, and when you start looking at doing a floor space or a workspace or a gym or something, it is costly when you add up how much flooring you need. But when you start actually looking at other flooring, the stall mats are a pretty inexpensive way to do it. And you can do it in installments. You can buy 2 this payday or 4 next payday, whatever. Just keep that in mind. They're 100 pounds a piece. They stay in place pretty well. They will destroy your hands dragging them and trying to move them. They make a pair of grippers that slides on, and then you can pull them with grips. They're like 35 bucks. It's the best tool you will ever buy that year if you buy a set of those. This is just pulling all the cut thread out of there. There are a lot of belts I've made. A lot of these belts I've made where I put them all the way together and realized I forgot the Velcro on them. There's a lot of the first dozen or so that I made were 7 inches, and I added a 1/4 into this just to make it bearable to be able to move the foam around and get it set. So you want to be cognizant when you measure this. It's at 7 inches and 1/4 or 18.5. So adjust that for that extra little piece, or your whole thing's going to be off. What are all those marks all over that tabletop right there? I'll bet that's from him building all those stands on them. Because I am not sure where this is going to sit, how much I want this from the edge, I just found the center of the work here, center this, and then the stretch will be the same, or where it falls will be the same. Putting this Velcro on here makes it a little stiffer. So next time we go to flip it, it'll be a little more difficult. Hear it? That's the sliding every time you hear that. It's good. If you can't get it in there, you can always pull that out, shave that foam down. You could make the seam a little closer to the edge, giving you more room in the channel, but the tighter it is to start with, the tighter it's going to be when you're done with it, and the better that product's going to be. Now, if you're building a ton of these, you have to find a happy medium between quality and ability to produce, but all right, now we're back where we were 20 minutes ago. I'm not sewing that edge closed. I am sewing through the quarter and the foam. Doesn't even have to be a big stitch. It can just be a couple tacks in there just to hold it edge to edge. Because that foam will stretch and shrink and move wherever you really push it. Also, I didn't want to have a really nice edge and then a edge like have this on the bottom. You could totally put it on the bottom if you wanted to. This is the part against the body that's going to lock to an inner belt. This is the part on the outside. My palace is going to go here and here. And basically you're going to conceal this channel right here, this seam, with all of your malice clips and such. When you put all your stuff on, you're never going to see this channel, and it's also not rubbing against the body, and that's why I put it there in the middle on the back facing backwards. So you can do yours literally however you want. Now, this is 90% of the build, is sewing these pals on right here. I do not sew across. I just move across, travel across. And my stitching is through the foam, crushing the foam there. But in between the pals, it is not. It is still 100% intact there. And again, you can do yours however you want. But I want that there like that. I want that full padding. I think it makes it a little more rigid as well. So there, we're tacked in. This ruler is 1.5 inches. I'm gonna run it right up there and I'm gonna make my mark. And the only place I need to make the mark is that inch in the middle where that seam is, because you won't see it. You're gonna sew over anywhere above or below it. I'm gonna tack this right here in. Something has happened. You heard that click. Let me say it.
Really good at rethreading your machine.
I can't find the hole. That's what I was going to say. Also in the pals, if you start right on the top edge, it's going to drive the work down. If you start in the middle, it's I'm gonna lock it. You can come up, down, and it will stay right where you started if you start in the middle of the meat, the material. Okay, that's 2 out of 40. It's actually way more than 40. So now we're gonna flip the work. I'm gonna come back this way. And you might not have to flip it and rotate back and forth. I mean, you might be able to just nail it and everything works that way for you. I mean, I know you can't do it, but you can at least try it. Not sure what's happened here. coming together.
How many did you build before the first one worked?
Oh, they all worked. They just weren't. They were just, you know, shifted or. I mean, I've got a few of them out there that have like 11 columns on this side and only 10 columns on this side, or 12. Like. And a lot of that's when we were just working one direction because it pushed all the material. It lengthened it on one side, you know. That's why I'm going back and forth each one. This is definitely up over the pants, you know, an outer belt, not concealment. You're definitely gonna see it, but it's also super comfortable. And for bearing a lot of weight, it's pretty good. Yep, still even. So. What color is your rifle kit?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Coyote.
Coyote. Made by some other company because I don't do Coyote.
Yep.
What's the name of that shittiest tactical gear in the world?
I'll put mine in that new color.
What is it?
What was that crazy one over there?
Oh, Obscura.
Yeah.
There's apparently there's like 5 or 6 versions of Obscura. Why didn't they just give them their own fucking names? Why'd they call them all Obscura? They're still Cryptek. Like they have the fucking Cryptek pattern in them. Like you guys should make it way more fucking convoluted and difficult. See that? I put a clock in.
Correct.
It's the only damn. Oh, apparently it's not correct. It was correct. How the fuck did you do that?
No.
Those are lithium batteries in there too. I was about to say the only clock in the building that's correct. What time is it really?
2:10.
2:10. So it's not 9:15
Nope.
tomorrow morning. Maybe it's because of the Grand Solar.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. We went through a time travel. Very nice. It's the best. The best padded belt, believe me. Everyone tells me. We need to get one of those Donald Trump Jr. or Donald Trump impersonators. There's some good ones. There's a black dude that does a fucking awesome Donald Trump impersonation. Have you seen? They're all comedians. Oh my God, he's so and he sounds just like Trump. He's just a black dude and he wears a Trump wig. Hilarious. I wish we knew a comedian that was funny.
Why is everything that's commented on is Jennifer?
Because he's on her account. Because I banned his account. All right, this is a 34. Right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, I think. I think that's the center. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. So we're at 22. We will get 24 out of this belt at 34. So these will be the last two right here. On this side. So we'll cut these back right here. All these scraps, I save all of this stuff. We use down to a 2-inch piece of webbing. So I always save these, and a lot of times when we just have hundreds of bins of scrap, and inevitably at the end of the day, people are ready to go home. They just take the scrap, put it places. Every now and then I go through it and I'll put all the 1-inch, 1.5-inch, 2-inch in different bins. And then sometimes I will go through and just chop it all into 3-inch pieces, which is a very common. We use 3-inch pieces on almost everything. And then they can just go through and use it for the orders, but it all gets used. Where did, everything's black down here. I can't see anything. How did I get this shitty lighter? Where did this come from? Remember that awesome trash can I was talking about earlier? Can you put that in it? And I've got child safety shit on here. Did I drop the screwdriver? Remember those little screwdrivers I used to talk about all the time? So I think they were called promotional screwdrivers. I think that's what they're called. I found them on Amazon. And I found places where you can actually have your logos put on them and stuff, but I bought 100 of them off Amazon. I got a box of 100 and it came in like 8 colors. So that's pretty good.
Obviously, I found your rollers.
I've had no luck with that. I bought all of them off Amazon. They look just like this. I swear they took a picture of this and sent me some bullshit because what I got was not this. It's wild that you'll get rulers and it'll be a 12-inch ruler, but the actual ruler is 13 inches or 12.5 because where they start, it's not at the edge. It starts inside of the edge. I don't know why they do that shit. All right, we're gonna fold this over. This is gonna be the last channel right here. I'm gonna come a little bit outside so that I can sew it right on that edge. What's up? How are things in the real building? Yeah, a while ago. She is very, I don't know, excited, nervous. Yeah, her son is getting married. She looked, man, she looked nice and cleaned up in that white shirt today. I wasn't sure who that was. She had a little, like, just a plain white button-up shirt. All right, now these ones, same thing, fold them under. Sew it right there. I do want the full 1.5 inches, so I'm gonna come just outside of 1.5. All right. You see a little screwdriver over there? Is that where that went? All right, now we're gonna close this up. I've already tacked it earlier where I want it, kind of. So I'm gonna travel down here and I'm gonna push this right in here. Now it's nice and clean right there. And I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll travel right to where I want it to go. And then again, push this in. Right there. You don't have to do that on yours. I just think it looks nice and clean that way. You don't have that dead material flopping around. Just like that. I have seen, not belts maybe, but maybe cummerbunds. I've seen stuff where they've sewn all the powels on and they'll use like a flatbed machine with a movable bed or head, and it does the whole powels field. And then they sew it and put the foam in and the seams on the bottom. But what doesn't happen with that is while there is foam inside and there is powels on the face, they're not sewn through, so it's just sloppy and loose, and that's part of the difference. Like what you just saw me do here, I'll bet you won't find any other company that's making a belt like this that's sewn all the way through all the layers like that, and that's why they're just sloppy. That's not to say there's not something nice out there, but all of the belts that we've seen, and I haven't gone and purchased them. Customers will buy belts and they're like, hey, this one doesn't work, this one's no good, this one doesn't work, and they'll send me photos of them. And that's what the deal is. They're not sewing them all together through everything, because it's very time consuming. And that's why I am sure, well, I know you can find a belt that looks kind of like this for 35 bucks and I get 250 for this. Does the other one work? Sure it works. Sure it works. It works $35 worth. That used motor oil that those guys put in their cars works too. I never had used motor oil, but I did buy used tires. I'd have tires that would be sparking so much so the cops would stop you. So then I go to Lakeside, and there's some Mexican, it was a Mexican tire shop. You roll in 35 bucks, they take your tire off and put another tire on. You get about 2-3 weeks before it started sparking, but you could go about 6 weeks on that tire for 35 bucks. And then when you're tired, you come out in the morning and it's flat, you put a can of Fix-A-Flat in there, and then it's good for a day or two, and then you need another can, but it would keep going. And that's back when I was sharpening sewing machine needles, literally on a file, my mom's fingernail file. She did her own nails, and I'd sharpen my nails on it, on my. Yeah, we were coming back from an MDR race in Lance's Ford Ranger, and you can put your thumb in the sidewall, and he just started putting all the plugs in. I'm like, there's no way that's gonna work. And we were coming back from, we were up by Big Bear Mountain, by Big Bear, and I don't know why, because the GPS or we didn't even have GPS back then, but we ended up there for a parts store or something, because he had a spare tire, but he had a spare wheel, but the wheel didn't work with the lugs. So the studs, he needed a different lug nut for the stud to work with the wheel. So we went there to get it, and we couldn't get it. We drove all the way back from Big Bear on that tire with those plugs, and we had to stop every 15 minutes and put air in. It was the longest trip home, but I mean, you just do what you got to do, man. Nowadays, guys would literally just pull over on the side of the road and die when they had a flat tire they couldn't fix. What are you showing me? A wasp? Yeah, it's warm out here. I thought it was going to be, yeah. All right, there's the belt. Cut me a piece of 1-inch webbing. Give me a piece at 12 inches and a piece at 5 inches. And I think I have some hardware out here. I think I brought a small bin of everything out here. I did just find a bunch of Omni wall packaging.
12 and 5?
Yeah. I don't know where it came from, but it's all those little holders that clip on that bar. So I'm gonna put all the plastic up there. I don't need hundreds of pieces of plastic. I only need dozens of pieces of plastic out here. Yeah, I know. I brought one out here. It's a normal shoebox. So when I started making these, the number one question about this belt was why I didn't use 2 buckles. And my answer was it doesn't need it. 1-inch male, 1-inch female. And they kept asking and asking. And then when the guys that got the belts, they're like, oh, I put it on. I totally see you're right. It doesn't need it. It just doesn't need it. To put a buckle here and here, that's 2 buckles you have to undo to get it off. But the real answer, it just doesn't need it. It doesn't need those 2 buckles. So I put a buckle here. I'm going to put a female here. And I'm going to put a male over here. And then I sew this channel. I'm going to sew this tab big right here. I've started sewing almost all my channels bigger right here. And that will hold the buckle. But what that'll do is you can put Velcro 1 wrap in here. Once you have it adjusted, you can roll this up and it'll lock right in place. You can do the same thing with bungee, bungee cord, gaffer's tape, rubber band. But the Velcro 1 wrap, it's nice. Stays right in place, and you can just not have those pieces of webbing dangling around, but you still have it should you transition from warm to cold, have to put an extra jacket on, need some more adjustment. The webbing's there. And then this will mate to any inner belt that goes through your belt loops. But the real answer is all you need is just a piece of scuba webbing or type 4 webbing with Velcro that overlaps, and then this locks onto it. Should you want to even use it, it mates in, so it works like belt keeper, so that this isn't bouncing all over because the inner belt's through your belt loops. And then this clips and holds it all together, and it works perfect. All right, I don't know whether you want a left-handed belt or a right-handed belt. Personally, I like to use 2 right-handed shoestrings in my shoes. I knew it. Now, being that this belt is 34, you can totally, well, I don't know that you can, but it can totally be made into a 38 by just moving this buckle out. It's just how much adjustment you put into this thing. So I'm gonna actually cut these. I think I actually do these at 4 inches, not 5. I just had Cody cut this at 5. It's amazing how many people can't use a lighter. We've hired new guys, and they won't grab a lighter that has the child safety thing out. They'll grab one out of the packets of 50 underneath, and at the end of the day, their finger will be bleeding. They'll literally be dripping blood. I'm like, what are you doing? My finger, it's just, I'm not used to this lighter. I'm like, that's a child safety thing right there. You're not a child. Pop that out of there. If you own your workshop, inevitably at some point you will walk around barefooted. This will go all the way inside your foot meat. So throw these in a trash can always. Do not. I pick those up every day. I don't know who does that shit. The girl, she was popping those. I've always tell everybody, throw those away. All right, so there's that. We're gonna put this right here. I'm gonna actually sew this back a little bit. This is also the thickness of the webbing in that. That's what you're gonna use that screwdriver for, to push that down to get that under there if you need to. I don't know that all machines do it, but many machines can be tuned to where this foot will have a higher lift. We can make this. I personally haven't messed with it. You can find all the videos on YouTube how to do it. But a sewing machine mechanic, whoever maintains your machines, you can almost always get them to set it to where they lift higher. So be aware of that if you need that. They also make machines that have much higher lift in them. So be cognizant of that if you're going to be sewing through foam and, you know, thicknesses and laminates and stuff like that. A lot of times the most important information that somebody gets from one of these videos, they didn't know they needed. Like that thing, right? There's so many things. Having made this equipment for 3 decades, I still hear people say stuff and I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't even know I needed to know it. I didn't even know it existed. But just like you can make these machines lift higher. And so many guys struggle with shit all the time or design their product because of the limitation of the equipment, when if you could just make this foot lift higher. And a lot of times too, something you might not know, when you use the knee lift over here to lift it, a lot of times when you lift it off the back here, it actually goes higher than what I can lift it from the knee. So keep that in mind too. Speaking of which, and then once it's in place, I can just drop that down there. All right, there's that. There's something else you can do too. If you wanted to make this way more adjustable, you could sew this with a T. And off that T, you could put plastic in there, or zoom in on me. A lot of, we used to do to make things rigid, we would make our thumb brakes and our holsters with copper strapping. And you can still buy copper strapping, but you see it a lot of time as just galvanized metal or tin, I guess. But you can still get copper. Home Depot sells it. They sell it in the plumbing section. It's called pipe tape, or it's for strapping. And they make plastic too now. You don't want that. But it's 3/4 inch tape, copper, flat tape, has holes drilled. And it's got a small hole, big hole, small hole, big hole. And it's for screwing water heaters to the wall so they don't fall over in earthquakes. But that shit, when you fold it in half, you can actually fit 2 layers of it in a piece of 1-inch webbing right here. And you can run a soldering iron through that hole and be able to put a snap on here and have a very rigid, perfect thumb brake in a holster. But you could take that also and you could fabricate a bar, which is sewn on to right here that has a buckle, and you could fish this under here, and then you could adjust from here to here to here if you needed to take a lot of size out of one of these belts. Of course, it's going to overlap in the front. Who cares? But if you wanted a highly adjustable belt, or you wanted to make a part that could be used as a belt or a shoulder pad or shoulder strap or whatever, that's something you could do with that. And a lot of guys have no idea that that could be done simply because they've never seen it done. But that's a very viable option to be able to rapidly adjust things. And when you're building assemblies and multiple different products, to have something you make that you can just use through your entire product line, it's pretty nice. Velcro one wrap comes in 1 inch, also 3/4. I'm sure they have other sizes too, but the 3/4 is what I like. And depending where you buy it, if you look around on the internet, you can buy Velcro one wrap at Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, typically in black, but you can get tan and green. If you look around the internet, there are other color options. You know what's not on this piece of equipment? A label that says SOE. I'm the worst, man. I built so much equipment that doesn't have a label. If you get a piece of gear that doesn't have a label on it, it's probably personally made by me. It's about to shift. Let me push this down. There we go. About to pull it all cockeyed. Cattywampus. What size did I say this was?
34.
Yeah, I know. Do we think there's money? There's usually a lot. I don't know where the money comes from. That's exactly what it is. I always take everything out of my pockets. You got a Sharpie over there? Just write it somewhere so it's here. When this guy gets captured, that's what's going to happen. That's how they're going to get all the information out of him.
It was number 34.
Number 34. All right. I am a 32. I have another belt on here. That's a little loose. That'll work. It'll run down. You can get it tighter than 34 if need be, but that is a 34. That is the belt. By the time you see this video, it's probably going to be gone, but you can check SOE Quick Ship. There might be something else there that you want, or a different belt in a different color. If you would like one of these belts and you've not been able to land one, hit me up on Instagram in private messaging. I might do one for you as a custom order for you. Generally, when I do that, payments through Cash App. So set your Cash App, take you a couple minutes, set your Cash App up, no big deal. I saw some dudes talking shit like, oh, super legitimate using Cash App. It's just another way to move money into an account that charges less fees than credit card processing a lot of times, especially for a small company. But I like Cash App because you can convert Cash App straight to Bitcoin seamlessly and then move it offline should you want to do that. You can also buy damn stocks and bonds off, like the actual on the traded market. You can buy stocks off of Cash App with your Cash App account. So If that's not on your radar, if you're watching this, you're probably not watching this because you think it's like a cool how it's made video. You're probably watching this because you are in an industry adjacent to this or trying to be into this industry, which means you are a businessman or you aspire to be a businessman. Take money every single way you can and try to keep a lot of those accounts and instruments completely unlinked, unseparated. Separate them, right? Multiple bank accounts, multiple lines of availability and ability to take money, and don't merge them. Because when you're doing business, when you're starting out, something, even when you're doing business, when you're not starting out, something always happens, man. And if one of those accounts gets burned or gets locked up for something, or some company buys that bank and they unbank you, don't have that shit locked up. Have them all separate and have something, 3 lines of supply for everything. 3 ways to take credit cards, 3 ways to hold money, 3 phone, whatever you got to do, 3 of everything. And if that doesn't mean you got to use them, know where they are before you need them, because a flood might wipe out the plant that makes all the resin that makes the plastic you use in the inside of your med trays from the company that you buy in California. That happened, like for real happened. 3 lines of supply for everything, guys. If you like this video, leave some comments. These videos actually get very few comments. We actually put probably the most amount of time out of everything, the most production, the most equipment, everything into these videos right here. So if you like them, leave us some comments. If you ever watch a video and you've used one of that product, definitely leave some comments because other guys will be seeing it in the future. If you have any questions, ask the questions. I'm always surprised dudes are in like groups and shit, and they'll put a link to this video, for instance, and it'll be like, what kind of foam does John use? And dudes will be like, I don't know, why don't you fucking ask John? And they'll tag me in it. Like, I get that every day. Like, it's just bizarre. So, cool. Padded belt. That's how you can build your own now. If I'm not building them fast enough for you, or you don't want to pay my price, let me know. Maybe you can build them and I'll buy them from you. We'll see you guys next time.